All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London is Blue podcast. Hopefully your favorite Chelsea podcast out there and a part of the Men in Blazers Media Network. Dan, one of your hosts here alongside Nick. And we took a long weekend because we knew that there was a ton of stuff happening. Even though Chelsea played on Friday, played Manchester United in what was the end of the working day in the U.S. Maybe some meetings randomly popped up. Maybe there were some doctor visits that needed to happen for a lot of people. Huge productivity issue for Chelsea supporters in the U.S. Being employed by their employers this Friday. And they enjoyed that result. They enjoyed that time. Whatever they did to get to watch it, seeing a 1-0 win over Manchester United, always fantastic and a great way to start the weekend. This is our review, though, that game. We're also going to talk a little bit about, at the top, Nick, before we get into all of the game, the permutations, what happens now, how did Chelsea get into Champions League, what can they potentially stub their toe on and still make it in. At the top, we have to talk about the domestic treble from the Chelsea women's team. Sonia Bonpastor, the players, absolutely knocked it out of the park. FA Cup final.
Yep.
We've been to an FA Cup final for the women's before. We've watched them win it. It's a fantastic day out. I'm sure it was quite a mood after the game, for sure. Some of the celebration photos on the pitch let you know that. But just a remarkable season. I know you're going to do a separate video for it on YouTube, and people are got to check that out there. We've got a full season review pod that we've got planned for next week as well that people I think are really going to enjoy. But just before we get into the men and the Manchester United match and the permutations, I want to give you some time and space to talk about this women's team and just what you think this means.
I mean, it's a historic achievement. There is no other way to put it in context. I mean, this is a undefeated domestic treble. Chelsea women did not lose a single domestic competition match this year. Let that just sink in for a second. I mean, it's a remarkable run. I think it's 30 games played and only 3 draws in those 30 games. It's an astounding achievement. It was a dominant FA Cup final victory, 3-0 against Manchester United, same opponent, of course, that the men played on Friday. And Chelsea were just miles better. And you know what I love about the Chelsea women is they are unabashedly ready for what's next. They don't get put off by success. They don't go on extended holidays like you see some other teams do. They just go for it. And I think that Sonia Bonpastor said this during the pre-match press conference for the FA Cup final. But we're not going to apologize for being successful. Other teams have to catch up. And to me, that's just that fires me up personally. That's one of those deals where it's I would run through a wall for you because that is the correct attitude to have. And I hope that the men get that back someday because I watched this women's team and look, they didn't get the Champions League again this year. They ran into the Barcelona buzzsaw for the 3rd year in a row. I mean, it's a difficult thing to do. Barcelona are really, really good, but everything that this team has done, I think this is Millie Bright's 18th trophy at Chelsea.
No, nobody's counting, but that sounds pretty accurate.
When she is done playing, that is statue territory, man. I just every one of these teams, Erin Cuthbert was my player of the match against United, but you could have picked a number of people. That's how good we were. So I just huge credit to the Chelsea women. They are an incredible organization run by incredibly smart people and a new minority owner, just in case you missed that one in the stands today. So, nothing but momentum for this team. There's a lot going on. Sam Kerr comes back next year. We did this all without Sam Kerr or Lauren James for large stretches of the season. So cannot wait for this team to get back next year. And just please watch the YouTube videos. We're going to do a season recap. Hopefully get the band back together for that one. But what a team. What a hell of a team.
Yeah, it's hard not to enjoy it. And I think one more thing we want to talk about, getting a chance to enjoy, Nick, is coming up this summer. Obviously, the Club World Cup is going to be taking place in the U.S. We teased at the end of a couple pods recently that we've got some events coming up. some One is Blue live type of engagements with our friends at Mick Ultra. So I think we teased also that there might be beers available. That seems like that's going to be an opportunity to enjoy some great opportunities to enjoy a beer, have a pint, have some fun, maybe one live pod amongst those cities. But we've got a little meetup planned in New York City, got a little meetup planned in Atlanta, and then a live pod planned in Philadelphia across the group stage of the Club World Cup, again, because we got to take some time off this summer too. I mean, we're not like the players, right? We're not getting paid to be at the Club World Cup.
Yeah, we work year round. We don't get the courtesy 30 days. Look, if you are in New York on the 14th of June, if you are in Atlanta on the 15th of June, if you are in Philadelphia, City of Brotherly Love, on the 19th of June, we will be putting out some announcements this week around our partnership with Mick Ultra, what we're doing in each location. We are super, super excited. This is like one of our biggest sponsorship opportunities that we've ever had, to get to travel around with Chelsea to kind of see what's going on with the Club World Cup. That competition, as you know, very important to the old bottom line of the club and what the club might be able to do in the off season as far as like player acquisition and things of that nature. So while it may be a completely made up tournament, the implications are incredibly real. And so we're going to be around, but more formal announcements to come. But if you are in New York on the 14th, Atlanta on the 15th, or in Philadelphia on the 19th of June, we are going to be having a party and you are invited.
Oh, that's a great way to put it, Nick. But look, people want to hear about Manchester United and they want to hear about Chelsea beating them. Always a good time, always a wonderful moment when we can, just give it to United. And the people at Some Wonderful Three-Word Match Reviews to set the stage for this one. So I'd love to turn it over to you. I picked some ones I thought you would really enjoy. I really try to curate the list for you today.
Now, who is this CFC Central? Have you heard of him before?
Plucky young upstart. I mean, clearly in the age bracket where Clear Lake might be interested on a nominal fee, not an overpay in any capacity for sure.
No, absolutely not. CFC Central, a friend Sam with Defense Goes Cuckoo. Very good. We'll talk about the extremely good defensive performance. Roddy with He's My Captain. I think he's speaking of Reece James. Nicholas Christensen with $115 million bargain. Perhaps it's a Moises Caicedo themed three-word match review there. Carefree Tosser with Uno freaking Moss in relation to the amount of games we have left in the season and the amount of wins that we need to get. Megan, Reese's Righteous Right. 100%.
Very good.
Brendan Shannon with Wingback Football Club. Bring it back, baby. God, I miss it so much. And then finally, it had to be done. There was no getting around it. Mr. Thurman coming in the clutch with Neymar strikes again with the terrible Photoshop of Neymar in a Chelsea shirt with Marc Cucurella's hair. Tremendous stuff.
I don't even know if we could call that Photoshop. I think it was a MS Paint situation here.
It's definitely a paint. Oh, it's so bad, but it's great.
Use PowerPoint to figure it out. Yeah, it happened there. Like I went with results-based business. I mean, again, was it the prettiest match you're ever going to see? Absolutely effing not. But it's a 1-0 win. It's a win against United. It's a win at home. Chelsea finished the season, or at least right now, have the second best home form in the Premier League across the year, just behind Liverpool. Like that, really, really good. 41 points from home this season. Could have been more. Could have been way more. So I just say, like, hey, we showed up at home this year. We made a difference there. It was really nice to see. Now you just got to get it done on the last day of the season in the Premier League and then go win the Europa League and Europa Conference League. And then you'll have had a really good year. If you don't do those two things, it's going to be a really different set of podcasts in the coming week. So let's hope that's not the case, Nick.
Let's hope it's not the case as well. I went with Cold Shouldered Devils. I love a little animus, as you know. I love getting stuck in. Nah, I know, not me. There's some real bite between these two teams. I don't think we like each other that much, Dan. So I appreciated a little of the kind of mixing it up because I mean, God, this match needed it. Goodness.
Well, let's get our first ad break out of the way real quick, and then when we come back, it will be all about the United fixture, the players, the stats, the shithouse moments of the match. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, Nick, again, it was a reminder, it was a Friday match. Very rare, some Friday night football in the Premier League on the 16th of May. Stamford Bridge, 1-0 scoreline. As everybody drew it up, Marc Cucurella, again, just continuing that form this season as a top goal scorer for Chelsea. Reece James with an incredible assist. I just walk me through how you reacted to that goal, because I'm going to say it first. I jumped up out of my seat when I was sitting at my desk watching it. And I'm so glad that there was like no work calls that I was taking at that point. I was just enjoying it. And I don't know, I did not get a complaint from my downstairs neighbors this time, but it could have happened.
How many times have you watched the replay of that is the question.
Oh, it looped so many times. I'm like half of the million that looped it on TikTok. That's for sure.
I mean, first of all, like, I think he said it in the post-game interview that he did. He's like, I was pissed at Neto for giving me a bad ball because I wanted to like just hit it first time. And I mean, it's a work of art. It is an absolute work of art. It's one of those things that like, it was like when Eden Hazard was here, when he would do something and you have to like rewatch it like 3 or 4 times to understand what he did and how he did it. It's the angle that I loved of this goal was the one that was kind of like tilted down, where it just showed Reece not looking at the target and just hitting the football into the area. And then Marc Cucurella, like it pans over to Marc Cucurella, who puts the exact right header on it. And it had the ball had the like the curve, like, because there are big loops around the ball, so you could see the direction that it was going to get to Marc Cucurella, and then his header basically straightened it out so it looked like the rings of Saturn heading into the goal. It's just one of the more beautifully aesthetic goals that I've seen in a very long time, and I just truly appreciated it. I mean, I like, first of all, it was driving me nuts that we were not beating this shit team by multiple goals. So it was a little bit of relief, to be candid. But I mean, you watch that replay and it is just one footballer who knows exactly what he's supposed to be doing in and around the box. He's always been a weapon when he's gotten up in those positions, and he's the best crosser of the football anywhere for me.
It was really good. It was a really good goal. Anyway, though, just to remind people, Rob Sanchez between the sticks. You had Reece, Tosin, Levi, Mark in that back line there. Moises Caicedo and Enzo
First
Fernandez.
names on a Monday?
Wow. It was a Friday. You know, we were feeling funky about it.
That's true.
Yeah, Nani, Cole, and Pedro, and then Tyreek up top for the lineup there. I didn't clip in the subs, so that's my fault there for not doing it on the day. But just, you know, in terms of a starting lineup, you know, we had some conversation on like, are we going to see Lavia back into this game? Mm-hmm. We didn't see that. We saw Moises Caicedo go back to where we paid 150 million pounds for him to play in midfield. Really great decision. Reece James plays at right back. Also great decision. And we saw Tyreek George kind of come out in absence of Nico Jackson and no Marquillo. Like, he gets the nod. I did not think that was going to happen. I thought we were going to get the Pedro Neto playing centrally, Cole outside right, Enzo pushes a little further forward, Lavia comes in, Madueke plays on the left. And, you know, it didn't necessarily work too well, to be fair, but credit to, I will give like a little credit to Maresca for like saying, hey, like people are sometimes like, hey, play young players, gives them opportunities. That was a really big test for Tyreek, for sure. It was not, I mean, his best game in any way, shape, or form of the season, but it was a great learning opportunity for him.
Hell of a time for your first Premier League start, huh? No pressure, kid. I mean, it's bonkers. I mean, the series of events that lead to Tyreek George starting this game are comical and sad. It's Nico Jackson's red card. It's Nkunku being injured, and it's Marquillo probably being injured. I think those are, you know, probably options ahead of Tyreek playing up top, but hell of a job for your first start. It's a chaotic game. Like, this was not a pretty game to watch for the most part. It was a lot of hard tackles. It was a lot of physicality. It was a lot of bad football. Let's be honest. It was a lot of bad passing. He got very little service, but man, he went in and did a job. And I think just huge credit to the young man for stepping up when, look, options are limited. You look at the attacking options on the bench for this one. It's not like they were a plethora of them, Dan. So, a huge amount of credit to a young player who will only get better from this experience.
No context around it, but I'm just going to throw it to you before I get to stats because we're talking about a little bit. Who's your player of the match?
God, who was my player of the match? I think it has to be Reese for me. I think it has to be Reese. I mean, I don't think anyone was player of the match eligible from the first half. Let's be very honest. But I think in the second half, I've always questioned the leadership of this team. Like, who's really going to step up and take charge in difficult moments? And I think I said this to you guys after the match was over, but like, the part of the match that I really enjoyed most from Reese was the last 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes, Reese looked like, oh, I got these dudes exactly where I want them.
You mean the corner kick into...
No, he literally looked at United. He's like, I can do this all fucking day. Like, anytime you want to do this, I'll kick it right off you and do another corner. And it was the exact influence that I wanted from him in this game. And that's why he's my player of the game. I think there are other players who are more than capable of taking that. I think Levi was up there, Mark Cucurella was up there, Caicedo up there, all these types of players. But for me, it's Reese, because the end of the game, I needed him to do exactly what he did, and he stepped up.
Yeah, I would maybe point out that I think Cucurella had a statistically better game.
Sure.
Also gets the goal too. And has been transformed this season. You know, I think a lot of the narrative, and we've talked about this.
Striker Mark Cucurella?
Yes, known striker Mark Cucurella, who's absolutely going into the top
Start him up
for
top.
me with Nico Jackson being out
top.
next game. Just, I think in general, the way that the attitude has shifted around him in like 2 seasons is one of the most like roller coaster experiences, and then effectively turned into a rocket ship. And that thing is like sailed beyond the moon, and it's going to like Saturn or Neptune. And it is like out there in deep space at this point with what his rise has looked like as a player for us. And I think if you said Reese, I think if you said Cucurella, I think if you said Caicedo, all like those, that would be the 3 to me who, did, I would say, the most on the day to get this one across the line.
I was thinking about this because someone put it out there, like from maligned season 1 to beloved season 3.
Okay.
Who is there another player that has done this transformation this quickly for Chelsea? I would put that out to the audience because, like, I was having trouble thinking of it. I'm sure someone's going to crowdsource an immediate one that would like.
Why is it not Morata?
The opposite. I think that was the opposite way. But yeah, I would love to think about that. Like a player that Chelsea fans wrote off, like completely wrote off. That we called him. I think we were not too kind on this podcast. If we're very honest, he had some bad performances, and now is like what 3rd name on the team sheet? Like, and it's like not that close. I mean, it's a remarkable turnaround. It's a huge amount of credit to him for working his way through it, and I think improving dramatically too. Like he has certainly stepped up.
Yeah, it is. It's been quite the wonderful thing to see. Just again, some top line stats for this one. Look, Chelsea with 0.82 XG to the marvelous 0.29 XG for Manchester United. Again, absolutely deserving of playing Champions League football next season for sure through their Europa League potential win in the upcoming week. Love to see it. We had 3 big chances to their none. We had 11 shots to their 4. We had 1 goalkeeper save to their 2. We had 7 corner kicks. Some of those might have hit pieces of the anatomy that should not be struck by a ball. We had 10 fouls to their 14, and we had 14 free kicks to their 10. We had 1 yellow card to their 6, which I also delighted in a whole lot. That was fun to watch them absolutely lose their mind near the end of it all. You love to see it, Nick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I knew was going to happen in this one. Their women's team does very much the same, by the way. When they get down and they start losing, they start kicking out, and it's just shambolic. So, yep, they suck. The end.
Well, one random stat. You're talking about your boy, Tiger George again. 2011, Tiger George is the first player with the letter Q in his name to start a Premier League game. The Alpha Joe went absolutely random on this one.
I
Crazy
saw.
for
I
this
thought it was a parody account when I saw this for the first time. His first player with the letter Q in his name to start a Premier League game for Chelsea since Henrique Hilario in August 2011. Quartermaster. The Quartermaster is such a like. I mean, it's obviously a throwback to James Bond and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. But like, Dan, are they running out of stats? Do you think? Optus in danger?
Maybe that's a summer topic. Is Opta on the decline? Guys, I gotta be frank about this one. I think Opta might have jumped the shark. Could be. Give us a shithouse moment of the match then. Turn it around from Opta's failure to your delight and marveling at the many shithouse moments of the match, particularly in those last 10 minutes.
Dan, do we have a credit for this graphic?
I just found it on the internet. I don't know where it came from.
Credit to whoever made the Tosin Adarabioyo over Hoyland stare down, the like, get up, you pathetic moron stare down over the league table that positions Chelsea in 4th place and United in 16th place. Whoever made this graphic, that is my shithouse moment of the match. This was also just the moment in the match where I think it was like, we had enough of you, Rasmus Højlund, flopping around on the ground, being silly. Like, I think it was very much a Tosin getting in the mixer and not tanking any more of the shit. So very much appreciated this.
It was one that we love to see for sure. As we mentioned, it does feel great to beat Manchester United. I mean, this is now a run of 3 Premier League games where 2 losses and a draw. I mean, so if you our last 5, it was 2 losses back to back in 2023, 2 losses there in that calendar year, a win and a draw in 2024, and then we're starting off 2025 with a dub, 1-0. It does feel like that. We talked about it a little bit though, Nick. Reece, Mark, Moises Caicedo, the effort, huge player energy. I think there's a lot you could look at in that first half and say, hey, the tactics weren't working, things had to change. I think Maresca maybe got bailed out a little bit, but you know what? Sometimes your players have to come through when the tactics are not maybe perfect. And the way they reacted with the goal, the last 10 minutes, the way they celebrated in full time, the way that Reece James was like going up to every single player on the pitch and ginning them up after the game, man, like that was a vibes moment there. And like, you feel like that might be the injection of just positive energy to get these last 2 games across the line.
I hope so. I mean, look, I said before this game, this was not going to be easy, despite Manchester United being shambolic. They surprised everybody a little bit by playing like their full strength lineup. And I think they did that to prepare for the Europa League final against Spurs. And we all hope that Manchester United win that Europa League final because can't have Tottenham win it.
Draw is not an option, correct? Right? They can't like just co-share the trophy and then
they cannot.
Okay,
that would be hilarious if Spurs had half a trophy in their cabinet. That'd be the most Spurs thing to Spurs. But no, I do hope Manchester United go on and win that trophy. I was disheartened with the first half, and I was heartened by the second half. And I guess it shouldn't be a surprise because our team only plays one half of football typically. But it was an important win. I mean, like, I think this win, the Liverpool win, like these sorts of results at home against what the traditional, I know that Manchester United are nowhere near the top 6, but like against the traditional big 6 opponents, these are big results. I know United sucks, and they really do suck. I mean, their XG on 0.29 is just nonsense. I mean, they're just not very good. But for me, this was, I mean, no, one, you had to have it. There was no other outcome that would have helped Chelsea get to the Champions League. And 2, I just think there's like a mental barrier for some of our guys against these teams that are like traditionally very good. And it was nice to see us kind of work through that in real time, even though the game itself was relatively painful to watch. The result, and I think the jubilation that you saw on the faces of the players was a really positive thing. And you just never know what kind of result is going to catapult this team into a different stratosphere. This could be it, right? It could, as silly as it sounds, it could be it. But I just really, really appreciated the step up and the win and the fact that they got to have a nice long weekend with the FA Cup being played. And yeah, congrats to Crystal Palace there too.
Huge congrats to Crystal Palace on that one. Yep. Again, could Manchester City fall out of the top 5 and not get Champions League football? Who knows? I mean,
Manchester City could be a tough run.
It'd be very interesting. We'll talk about that shortly. You know, I think, though, credit to the players. I love the fact that they're getting a little bit of extended rest, too, heading into, I think, what's going to be a quick turn as well. I mean, you have Nottingham Forest, who played on the Sunday today at time of recording. So they have a full week. You get, 2 extra days of recovery there. That's kind of nice. Get everybody fully fit, get everybody into a position, get locked in. As Nana Madueke put on Instagram, he said it was finishing practice for him, by the way, LOL. And he did kind of call it the fact that Stamford Bridge was immense. I talked to a few people who were at the game, and the way they talked about the absolute vibe afterwards, it did look like when the goal happened, like just the release valve was let go.
The slapping of the sign, it always gets me on those like replays where you hear that just like pure. It's such an aura thing for Chelsea, big Chelsea goals. You hear the slapping of the stand. Like, I just love that. I mean, I do want to credit, because I know we talked about Reece, we talked about Marco Correa, we talked about Moises Caicedo a little bit. I think this last stretch of games from Levi Colwill is one that we need to be watching with great interest, because I think he, at least to me, he looks like he's growing up and growing into the player who he's going to become. Again, super young, has been on a team without a consistent center back partner for both seasons at Chelsea now.
Sure.
I think he's rotated through 4 this season. And instead of being, I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but instead of being a young player with a Thiago Silva next to him, who's helping bring him along, helping with positioning, all these sorts of things, he's had a mishmash of players around him. He's had, obviously West Fofana, he's had Trep Chalobah, he's had Tosin Adarabioyo, he's had Benoit Badiashile. He's go down the line of all of the center backs that we have at the club. And I just don't think that could have been helpful as a development thing for him.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, but I think despite all of that, and despite some like pretty rocky performances this year, if we're fair, he has started to play with an intensity and a physicality that I've really enjoyed watching. And I think that in a game like this, where I think it would have been easy to get sucked in to all the shenanigans and the other stuff that Manchester United were trying to do, he stayed and was really, for me, positionally sound. He made some huge blocks. He was all over the shop making tackles. Like, I appreciate that, because I'm watching a player year to year now, and I'm starting to see, oh man, like there could be another big step next year. And he's going to have to, hopefully, because the competition will improve, right? Mm-hmm. And on and on and on. And you could see him by the time he's 26 just being a destroyer. And that's what I hope happens, because he has that potential in him, and he's starting to really like exercise it.
And I think you make this point, and like I think it kind of takes us into maybe how we think about this last match of the Premier League season. But you have to start looking at it now with 90 minutes of Premier League football plus extra time remaining this season, 90 minutes plus whatever, hopefully not just 90 minutes in the Conference League final. Please do not take it to any extra time. That would just absolutely destroy me. I don't have time for that in the middle of next week. You have to start thinking about, at minimum, Chelsea should be in Europa League next year. We hopefully are in Champions League next year. You have to start looking at every single player on the roster and say, are they of the caliber to not just be a part of Chelsea's Premier League team, but to be a part of a campaign to go deep in the Champions League? And that's going to be tested real quick, real fast. I mean, we're going to get some exposure through the Club World Cup for some of these players to show up and say they're ready and say they're available and say they're ready to be counted on for the upcoming season. And it also, I think, impacts how the club should be looking at who we go out and buy. Because if you qualify for Champions League, you have to take a step up in who you're acquiring in terms of players and personnel. And like we talked to Ben Jacobs about that last week, and that ultimately Chelsea do have views on the type of players that we go after if they get Champions League or non-Champions League. So that is something to keep in mind. Though specific to last game of the Premier League season, you might have some permutations, you might have some players available that you could kind of call in here, Nick. Are you maybe some quick decisions? Are you starting Tyreek George up top again, or are you maybe doing the Pedro Neto, push Enzo a little bit further forward, have Cole out right, and bring Lavia into the lineup?
I think this is a tough call. I think for me, I don't doubt that Tyreek could do a great job. Right, I really don't. And if he starts on Sunday, I'll be pleased with it. I think I'd rather see Neto start up top, or at least give me a good 60 minutes from Pedro Neto up top, run your ass off, and then Tyreek comes in as like the super sub. The reason I say that is like, obviously we were limited with winger options in this game because Jadon Sancho can't play against his parent club.
Yep.
And so I think that this could be an opportunity to have a Madueke, Sancho, Neto, Palmer attack. That could be really interesting for this game because, look, I look at Forest right now and I watched the West Ham game, or at least part of the West Ham game, because I was actually watching the Chelsea women win the FA Cup, and I wish more people were doing that instead of watching fucking West Ham and Nottingham Forest. But at the end of the West Ham Nottingham Forest game, Forest just were throwing their bodies at everything. They look gassed. They look really kind of all over the shop. And they just, to me, look like a team that wants to shithouse every single moment of every single game because they don't have the talent. And I think they know that. I think they know they aren't playing that well. I mean, West Ham gave them their first goal. It didn't even, they didn't earn it. It was just given to them. So I would look for experience in this game against the shithouse nature of a team that's desperately trying to get themselves back into this. And I know this is not a team with a lot of great experience, but Pedro Neto has played enough Premier League games, I think, to be that kind of line leader for this one. And I think that's the reason I would do it. I don't think it's like a pure talent thing. I love Ty, and I think that Ty could do a great job up there. But I think this is a Madueke on the right. I think this is Sancho on the left. I think this is a Neto up top. And you do what you do in this one.
Okay, well, we'll have plenty to talk about on the match preview, and we'll see if Sam agrees with you and if I'm still maybe on the same page, maybe on a different page by the end of the week. Any other thoughts heading to the last game before we start talking about the quest for Champions League football?
Do not get into a scrap with Nottingham Forest. Like, Chelsea needs to play a tactically incredible game. They need to show up and play a full 90, not just a half of football.
Hey, it's 90 minutes?
Now, I know you've tried to change the rules with the FA, but unfortunately that has not gone through in time for the final game of the season.
No, it can go through. VAR has shown me that the rules can change absolutely indiscriminately at any point this season for only a fraction of a minute in a particular game, and then it goes and changes absolutely differently for another game.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, I think that Nottingham Forest want a fist fight, and Chelsea do not want a fist fight. I don't think we have a fist fight in us, and I think what would really, really be good for Chelsea is to understand what Forest are going to try and do with that crowd behind them. They're going to try and amp up the atmosphere. They're going to try and get the official to make calls. They're going to go in two-footed on challenges. They are going to fist fight us. What we need to do is be smart, savvy, and work the ball over the top. Don't get caught in midfield. Watch, on the ball. Let's just make damn sure that we're moving the ball forward and doing what we need to do. I think this is a game for Reece James. I think this is a game for Moises Caicedo. Depending on if Enzo Fernandez can see out of one of his eyes, I think this could be potentially a game for Romeo Lavia as well. And so this is a moment. Like, get ready. You survived a couple of 45-minute performances, full 90, full effort, full commitment.
Look, we're going to take a last ad break when we get back. It's all about the quest for top 5 and where Chelsea might end up at the very tail end of the season here. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Hi, Nick. Liverpool won the league. I don't know if you know about that. Arsenal are by beneficiaries of beating Newcastle this weekend here, have locked themselves into a second place runner-up finish again. Very exciting times. Love Mikel Arteta for some reason with the consistent non-delivery. I don't understand it, but I don't think I'll ever will. It's not within my nature. So the table from second place down, third place Newcastle at the moment, 66 points with a plus 22 goal differential. Chelsea in fourth place at time of recording, 66 points as well with a plus 20 goal diff. Fifth position, Aston Villa, 66 points as well, plus 9. You have Man City in sixth place, but they have only 36 plays. They are a game behind. They're on 65 points with a plus 24 goal diff. And then Forest, 37 matches played in seventh position, plus 13 goal differential. So, Nick, with all that said, that's where it stands right now, heading into the last weekend, 1 point separating the third place and seventh place teams in the Premier League. Maybe one of the tightest and most lucrative final matches of the season for teams, considering you've got a top 5 opportunity to be in the Champions League. You got a top 6 spot to be in Europa League. You've got Conference League in the 7th spot. And you also have Manchester United or Tottenham who are going to be in the Champions League next year. Like, you're going to have 6 teams in the Premier League in the Champions League next year. You want to be one of them. Chelsea should be one of them. But again, it's a body of work. It's a results-based business. The Opta probability right now would say that now that Liverpool have 100% won the league and then Arsenal have locked themselves in the second position, they're still projecting that Man City will finish in the third spot on 68.76 points. So they're effectively saying they're going to win their next one at minimum, which would take them to 68, and that should be enough for them to qualify. They've got a 85.9% probability of qualifying. They give Newcastle, who lost to Arsenal, currently on 66 points, playing Everton in their final game, a probability of 83.55. I think you say that Everton have, with the win over Southampton today, probably are done for the season and are not going to show up, even though Isak, getting a scan, might not be available. They've lost every game. Isak hasn't played in this season.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I think that the end of Goodison, I think that was a huge emotional affair, and it felt like with the Moyes on the PA before the game and all that sort of stuff. It just felt to me like this was like their end of season. So that's what I'm saying there. I'm not like, look, Newcastle played a very average game against Arsenal today, so I'm not saying like they're infallible or whatever. It kind of felt like Everton was kind of on the beach at this point. So,
well, then they give Aston Villa. So it's between Aston Villa and Chelsea at that point is what they're saying in terms of probability for the 5th and 6th spot. And they're saying the expected points for Aston Villa is 67.51, that it's 67.40 for Chelsea, and that it will be a 56.84% probability that Chelsea finish in a Champions League spot, and that there's a 44.42% probability that Aston Villa will. Because if Chelsea win with the goal difference, they're in. That's the end best scenario. Go beat Nottingham Forest. Don't worry about any other person's business. Be up 2-0 at halftime and just ride it to the end. That would be the best way. I did calculate the other scenarios. Do you want to hear them?
I like your first scenario where it's an easy one. My heart isn't going crazy. I don't need the extra shenanigans. But sure, Dan, enlighten me on the scenarios.
Okay. So if we draw in our last game, take up 6-7 points, not great. Does mean Nottingham Forest is out. So they would only finish on 66. Their goal difference isn't that great, so they're not going to be able to pass any of the teams. They wouldn't be able to pass us, so that kind of blocks them out there. We would then need Villa to lose or draw, or you need City to lose and draw, or lose both of their last 2 matches, or you need Newcastle to lose. Any of those scenarios get you into a position where heading up to 6-7 points, you qualify. So there are multiple pathways if Chelsea were to draw that they could still end up in the Champions League next year.
And Matt is adamant that Villa are going to struggle against Manchester United at Old Trafford. Like it's a house of horrors for Villa, blah, blah, blah. We were texting him after the United win on Friday. He's adamant that could happen. Me, not so much. I think Villa are going to pump them 2 or 3-0. And I don't believe that Newcastle will lose at home to Everton. It seems unlikely.
Aston Villa has not won a game against Manchester United since November 6, 2022. They had a 0-0 draw earlier in the season. Last season, they lost both games. They played 3 times that 22-23 season. And it was a loss, one loss in League Cup, one loss in the Premier League, and a win in the Premier League, 3-1.
I believe Matt. I believe that it is a house of horrors. I get it. I don't know. I think they match up really well. So,
all right. And then with that, the other one is getting Newcastle loose. So Newcastle play Everton, Aston Villa play Manchester United. You have Bournemouth and Fulham as the 2 final games for Manchester City. How are you feeling? And what do you think the final order is going to be?
Did you do the if Chelsea lose scenario?
You were like berating me at doing the draw scenario.
I want the people to know. Okay. Do it for education's sake, and then I will berate you. Yes.
The doomsday scenario is Chelsea lose and they finish on 66 points. The problem with that is then Forest jump up into the top 5 on 68 points, which is not ideal because then everybody is going to shift down 1. So then you actually need multiple things to happen. It's the drunk guys parlay on a betting app moment where they think that they're the smartest person in the room. They're absolutely not, and they're just shitting money down the toilet. This would be that you need Villa to lose their game so that Chelsea and Villa remain on the same points together. And you would need City because Forest would jump above. So there's one extra team up there you have to worry about now. They need them to lose 1 and draw 1 of the last 2 so that they were only able to get 1 more point across the entirety so that you could finish ahead of them on 60. That would be an option there. Or you have Newcastle being uncatchable because they have the goal difference. So even if they lost, you would be in a situation where you could not catch them because if you lost, you're not going to improve your goal differential. How you feel about that?
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry. The Manchester City scenario is if we lost, we need them to lose both their games, not lose and draw. They need to lose both because they're 65 points. Not they can't get to 66. But if they lost both, it does give us an easier in.
And I know we're having fun at their expense because I love watching Pep Guardiola struggle. It is one of my very favorite things, and I do hope that Enzo Maresca detaches his ideology from that stupid ideology as soon as humanly possible. But yeah, no. If Chelsea lose, the ball game is over. Let's just call it what it is.
It's not over. It's just difficult.
Dan, it's over. At that point.
I just outlined. I spent time before this podcast putting this together for you, doing the number crunching myself. I couldn't trust Opta after that Tyreek George stat this afternoon. Okay, I couldn't trust the computer anymore. I had to go do it myself. I did that for you, and now you're poo-pooing it? Shame on you.
I told you I was going to do it, and I did it. Opta Dan, thank you for your very detailed analysis here. I will say this, I think there's a real world scenario where we draw against Forest. And so I think your draw scenario, there are a lot of things that could be possible in there. At the end of it, we just need to win. We need to turn up and play 90 minutes against this Forest team that has been not that good over the last 2 months and beat them. The end. And I don't think that Man City will lose to Bournemouth. I don't think they will lose to Fulham. There could be a draw in there, maybe. It's possible. But, I think for me, this is very much if you're Chelsea, we've said it all along, 69 is the target for points in this league table to feel very confident that you are going to play in Champions League football. It should not be too much to ask. It's only 6 points more than what we got last year. And if you want to play amongst the big boys, if you want to challenge in the Champions League, if you want to, sign top talent, if you want to do all the things that you need to do, you have one match to go prove that. And it's as pure as football gets. Like, this is going to be an insane last day of Premier League football. And it's why this league is so much fun a lot of the time. Has there been a great league this year? Has there been a ton of quality? Not really. Not especially.
I mean, wouldn't you argue that the parity of the league has gotten better, though, considering we're heading into the last day and
parity's better.
Yeah.
The overall quality, I would argue, maybe not.
Okay.
But for drama, there is no league like this. This is why the sponsors flock. This is why the money's in there. There is no drama like end of season Premier League drama, and we've been here before on both sides. Let's hope that we're on the winning side of this one.
That would be all that we can hope for.
Top 5? Did you ask me my top 5 prediction?
Well, yeah. What's the final order of those teams going to be in the 3 through 7 spots?
What do I want to do here? The City having 2 games left is like throwing me. I think City beats Fulham. I think they draw to Bournemouth. So that's 4 points.
So they got to 69. So they likely are going to finish either level with one of us, but ahead on goal difference. So they probably finish third at that point.
Yes. Okay. So I have them finishing third. I have... this Isak thing is throwing me for Newcastle. I won't lie. They could potentially draw.
Okay, so they finish on 67 points for Newcastle. Then that's your kind of final number there. Then Villa, what do they do?
I think Villa are going to win. I do. I know Matt doesn't. That's okay. I'm
surprised with your whole, like, the football is like not good this year. That you're not saying every one of these teams is going to draw on the last game of the season and have the absolute like limpest like walk into the Champions League.
It's been the league. I think Villa and Chelsea round out the top 5.
Oh,
City third, Chelsea 4th, Villa 5th, Newcastle drop.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay.
Asterisk. If Isak plays, then my order is fucked. But
yeah,
if he does not play, I don't know.
I think Everton have too much pride. I think they're a team that has just like played hard and obviously had a managerial change. I think their manager's going to end the season strong. So I have them and Villa both drawing is in my prediction. So I have them both ending with 67 points. And I think we'll draw too. And so I think it's going to be like 3 teams that all want to be in the Champions League that are going to draw on the last day. And so Forest is going to stay in 7th place. And the only thing that's going to change is Man City's going to jump ahead to 3rd position. And then we're all going to slide down 1 spot. So we'll finish in 5th. Villa will finish in 6th. And Newcastle will finish in 4th. It's going to be a 3-team draw on the final match of the season for all teams.
How did I end with a much more optimistic table than you did?
I mean, look, I would love for us to win. Our away form, though, has not been great. To be fair, though, Forest home form has not been great either, comparatively. So
you have a stoppable object against a movable force or whatever.
So, like, it just has the recipe of draw.
Yeah.
That's what I think happens. But we'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Let us know what you think is going to happen in the last match of the season. We'll be back after it all gets done. It's nervous. It's tense. But that's why we fucking love this game. We love this club. And it's so much joy. Look, again, tons more content coming your way this week. We'll have tons more content coming after the end of the season. And then we'll be getting right into summer coverage. Transfers, Club World Cup, So much to talk about. So make sure you're subscribed, like, follow, hit us with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Send us an email, contact@londonsbluepodcast.com if you just want to say hello. And then, get involved in Discord too. But if that's all we got, there's only one thing left to do. Till next time, Chelsea fans, keep blue flag flying high.